Hi, this is Sean. Welcome to my channel. I am the Divine Feminine Abolitionist, and we are free. This is the second time I did this video because my wonderful hacker stalkers deleted the one that I was uploading after they had set a roaming clock timer on it for 3 hours, and then it was deleted. So apparently there was something in a video about the eighth major arcana tarot card from the Hoodoo tarot that really annoyed them, or it was just this thing of let's do something that will cause friction and frustration. But actually what they did blessed me, because the video that I put on before, I didn't add some of the stuff that was in the book from Tayannah. I think that's how her name is enunciated, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on it. And I also wanted to talk about these books and give some inspiration for that. But the whole point of me starting this video and doing this card was originally, first let me do the book. What I like about her, the Hoodoo Tarot, is that her book is so awesome. I mean, it just unpacks so much and gives so much information. Like, she's very generous in the book. For one, she gives a scripture with it, and anybody who uses scripture in spiritual work and verses and apply them to doing spiritual work and working with energy will appreciate this. And that's one of the things that I do a lot. I work with the Psalms. I work with the Proverbs, and they help me to transform my energy. They help me to go deeper. For me, the Bible is not literal. It's a text, and I feel like divine hid some very good coding in it, and that we can use it. And I appreciate that my ancestors who were stolen from their land was able to learn how to read and to master that book, and to master it in a way that it was decoded and that they could use it in a spiritual sense to empower themselves. I appreciate that about the book. But in terms of it being a literal book, for me, it's not literal. The scripture that she quotes for this card is Colossians 1:11, and anybody who uses numbers or works with numbers, or number energy, like triple one, first of all, it's the presence of divinity, triple one, because when it adds up, it's three. But like that number, if you see it all the time, it's very significant that, your ancestors are contacting you and being present. That's what it means for me anyway. I mean, it can take on other things, but most of the time they're telling me to stand in my faith, because Hebrews 11:1 is faith is now. So, when this number shows up in terms of spirituality, like, I'm always paying attention, because I know that my ancestors are saying, hold on to your faith, because, I live in a culture of distorted entitlement. And, there are people who feel entitled to your energy, and they tap into it whenever they feel like it, because for the simple reason of they can, like, hackers and stalkers and things like that. It is what it is. I mean, it's been happening to me for many years, and all of the energy that I put into trying to get the legal system to be an advocate, I just focus in spiritually, because I know that divine justice manifests, and I know that divine judgment is real. I know that divine judgment is real, and I know that if my intuition is spot on, it may not be spot on about specifically who is involved and all that it entails, but I know that it's happening, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? But I feel like I've given it over the years, because it's been happening since 2016. I feel like over the years I've given it so much of my energy, and I've just fed this insatiable, like, annoying, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's like cockroaches. You turn on the light, it's like you turn on your phone, and it's like the presence of another energy is tapping into you just simply because it can. It is what it is. It's not personal to me. I mean, people do sick, demented things all the time, and they justify the reasons why they do it. I mean, we live in a country where even the government has the right, or feels like it's entitled to, your personal information. You know, they use drones as artificial intelligence. They partner with companies, they partner with security companies. They do all kinds of things that affect the citizens of this country. And it is what it is. The thing it is, you got to do the best that you can to protect your energy, and do your best to do no harm, because, you know, harm is all over this planet, and the best thing we can do to circumvent it is just stand in our truth and stand in our faith that we won't be the thing that we don't want to happen to us, or the thing that we don't want to experience. We won't do that to someone else. Okay, so the scripture says, may you be strengthened with all power according to his glorious might, for all endurance and patience with joy. And because the Bible was written from a patriarchal viewpoint, he, him, whatever. But for me, the divine is both goddess, mother, father. So it doesn't really have a gender, but sometimes, just because I'm in a human form and I use gender as identifying marks, because that's what I've been doing for so long, I'm not fixated on it, because I know that a lot of people navigate the planet who don't attest to gender, and, you know, who go non-binary. So it is what it is. Like, that's what I do, and it works for me. It says, you know, in the book, she's talking about when strength comes up in a reading, you are being asked to consider how you will access the inner strength needed to overcome any obstacles in your path. And for the, in this channel, like, what I try to do is give back information, because I had another channel and I had to delete it just because it was just so much, so challenging just to upload, because my and then I can't think of what the word is, but when YouTube, like, won't put you in the algorithm and all of that kind of madness and a bunch of drama, like unnecessary stuff. But anyway, my point is that I had this other channel, but another reason I deleted it is because a lot of where I was in that video was not the best representation of myself, because I was in a lot of pain. I was experiencing extreme heartache, and I went to YouTube to express what I was feeling, because I felt like I didn't have anybody, and I was going through a dark night of the soul moment, and it was something that, in my opinion, needed to happen privately. I mean, I could have shared the tools that I used to ascend and things like that, and I did do that on that channel. But I also added, you know, personal commentary about where I was going through, and that energy was so dark and in such a like wounded warrior place. It's like I didn't want to project that. I'm not saying that I don't realize that that's a real place to be for people, but I it's not that I'm saying we shouldn't stay in those spaces with people and help them to move forward. I'm saying that in that space, it wasn't the energy that I would like to draw anyone else into. I was trying to get out of it myself. And so a lot of it was projection. And then my understanding of what I was going through at the time was I was caught up in the act of of a betrayal, and I couldn't see it as a gift. I couldn't see discard as a gift. It was offensive to me, and I reflected, I reacted from that offense. I reacted from my hurt. I reacted from my anger. But when you go through a dark night of the soul moment and you ascend, you learn to not react, but to respond differently. And you also learn to seek deeper understanding of suffering, of pain. So there was no way in that season of my life that I could have seen marital discard as a gift. I didn't see it that way. I didn't see divorce. I didn't see having to leave my home. I didn't see having to uproot my life and all of those things as a gift. I didn't know that I was a codependent person. I didn't know that I was a person experiencing some depression. I didn't know that I was a person who was living out trauma drama with someone who hadn't healed either. And it was like we're just going through a cycle and a pattern, and we're not using our love to heal beyond this point. Like we got stuck, and I was in a partnership with somebody who was choosing not to do the work, which they had every right to not do. And at the time, I felt offended by that. And I just had to heal myself to get out of that state of being offended by somebody else's choices that didn't have anything to do with me. Because in life, we will have experiences with people who will change their mind, who will want different things than what we want. And I don't ever want to hold anybody hostage in my idea of what they should be doing for their lives, because I don't want it to happen to me. So anyway, during that time, I picked up a deck of cards. They were the Afro Brazilian tarot deck, which has beautiful imagery. And I really wasn't into tarot, but I had picked them up because I was going to play Gypsy tarot with a friend of mine's kids who used to come over for Halloween every year. And at the time, I was right in the beginning process of my union severing. And so what we had done for years was get together, and we would dress up, and we would share a meal and all of those things. And that didn't happen because we were going through a union severance. So our house was not a place of celebration. So they didn't come over that year. So I was like in my poor little old me, I've been abandoned by my spouse kind of mode, and feeling sorry for myself and all those things. So I picked up the cards, and I did a spread, and I really didn't understand the cards at the time. And I was just looking at the imagery most of all and trying to understand why these particular cards came and spoke to me. And I don't know why it was on YouTube at the time, because I really wasn't into YouTube. I think I needed to know how to unstop a tub or fix a vacuum or something, because the person I was that had usually done those things was not really around that much because we were in the beginning part of the severing. So at the time, Mystic Beauty popped up, and she started reading some of the cards that I have drawn, and some of the things were so poignant to me, but some of what she was saying was pissing me off because it was about relationships, and I was getting angry, and I felt like she was speaking to me from another person's perspective, and I'm like, how dare you? And I got indignant, and I was like, I'm not listening to that. And it just kept coming back, and she just kept speaking to my soul. And it's like, regardless to how much you don't want to hear truth, it ain't never lied, and it's going to speak to you in whatever language it needs to speak to you. So anyway, I got more familiar, but one of the cards that was in that original spread in 2020 was the number 8 strength card. And from that particular deck, it was like I used it as a clarifying to the Brazilian deck. It was a traditional deck. I can't remember the name of the deck, but it was where the goddess energy, divine feminine energy, is standing beside a lion. And at the time, I just felt like that was God saying to me, be strong, be strong, be strong. Or my ancestors saying, be strong, be strong, be strong. And it was like, okay, but what, let me dig deeper into this card. And then I started really getting into the imagery, and I noticed that she was standing on her own 2 feet. When I realized that my union severance was about me healing codependency, me healing the need, or this feeling that you're only somebody when you're chosen. And all my life I had been conditioned to be a wife, and I didn't necessarily know how to navigate in the world without partnership and what that meant. And I don't know that I was necessarily afraid of it, because before I got married to the person I'm divorced, I didn't want to be married. I knew that I didn't want to be married. And it was important to that person to be married, because at the time we were expecting children, and he didn't want his children to be born without them being, I guess, legitimate, or whatever that language is. But that was his goal of the marriage. At least at the time, that's what I believed about him. That's not what I believe now about the reason that he wanted to be married, but that's what I believed at the time. And so, as it was custom for me to do, is other people would make decisions. And because I was a people pleaser at the time and I wanted him to be happy, I'm like, okay, let's just do this thing that you want to do. But, because I'm conditioned to be a wife, I know how to be a wife. Like, that's not a issue. But the thing about when you get married to somebody, it's not that you just know how to be a spouse, a husband, or a wife. You need to know how to be the wife to the person that you are entering your union with. And if you don't know who you are and you don't know who that person is, then you're going to give them the version of yourself that you think they want, and not necessarily the version that they need to come into the fullness of their divinity. Because every union, I don't care if it's a mother, father, sister, daughter, brother, every union, every relationship is to glorify God, is for God to get the glory out of that relationship, and for it to serve a deeper purpose other than for those two people, although those two people generally get to be blessed from the experience. But anyway, so I drew that card, and it took me years up into this point recently, maybe about 6 months ago, to understand that this card now is about, because I understood what season we were going into as a planet. I understood when I saw George Floyd call out, "Mama, help me, I can't breathe, Mama." I understood when I heard that man calling Mama. I understood it at a primal level. I understood it at a sacral level. I understood that he was sounding the alarm that it's time. It's time for the ancestors to intercede. It's time for divine feminine to come and save her babies from this centuries and centuries of this patriarchal, distorted, where they use violence and call it law and order, and just the distortion and the depravity and just the haughtiness and just all of that. And I knew that divine feminine was speaking and saying, I have heard the calls and I am answering. And then Breonna Taylor died. And then recently, when they decided to indict her murderers, I understood that the shift had taken. I mean, I knew that the shift had taken place when I was in those portals in 8899 in 2020, 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12. In 2020, I understood that the shift, but I didn't necessarily know that it was the shift of leaving the distorted masculinity that has, been in energetic dominance. I got that language from Cup. I'll put her link into this, but I got that language from her because I didn't necessarily have a language for what it was, but they've been in energetic dominance. And I feel like it's just been a distortion. What I was calling it was a distortion of dominion because, according to scriptures, divine feminine and divine masculine, we were given the accountability and responsibility for the planet, and God said have dominion over it. But that dominion doesn't mean without grace, without honor, without integrity. And dominion has become captivity. We have taken everything, or I'm not going to say we, I feel like the distorted masculine has taken everything into captivity because he himself is imprisoned in his own mind, his own ego consciousness. And this, I feel like, is just when this card shows up in personal spreads or spreads for women, I feel like it is, the divine saying, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready for the shift. Cleanse yourself, cleanse your mind, get your heart right so that we can make sure that when the powers, when the shift happens, that we're and you take the reins of something, that you don't just recreate what the former power source did, but that you rebirth something new that's sustainable for all of the people on the planet. And that's what I believe is happening. That's what I believe this card is about. And that's what I wanted to talk about. And I'm also going to put a link because I listened to a panel yesterday on this young brother's page. It's called, I think his page is called Black Magic 363. The energy on that panel, Queen Afua, who wrote Sacred Woman, was on there, and I just love to hear her talk. And she was on there with some other women who I've seen a few of them like on YouTube before, and when I used to have a Instagram account, I think I've seen them on there. But anyway, I want to encourage you to get the book Root Work. That's by Tayannah Lee McQuillar. She also created the Hoodoo Tarot, and Hoodoo Medicine by Mitchell, and Orishas, Godesses, and Voodoo Queens by Dorsey. And those are some good places to start in terms of energy and checking out the divine. And it's because people don't always are not always in position to go. The library is a good resource, and if you can't get to the resource, one of the best ways to connect with the divine is to get quiet and a body of water, because water is feminine, and a shower, a bath, not just for the not like a sense of you're doing a cleanse or anything, but like a time that you're saying, okay, divine goddess, okay, divine feminine God, I'm just coming to you and I'm asking you to reveal yourself to me. I'm asking you to help me know your ways. And also you can study Ma'at. And that is what has helped me to really root and ground in my divine femininity, is studying Ma'at. And I wouldn't say that I necessarily study ancient Egypt in its entirety, but I have been focusing on Ma'at and Anubis and Wahuti, and just trying to get very clear about who I am, what my principles are, what my values are, because when you're clear about that, then when you experience something that kind of challenges that, you can stand your ground and you don't have to waver. And that's also what this card is about. It's about taming that nature that just goes all willy-nilly and doesn't have any sense of discipline, or doesn't have a sense of personal governance. And you need personal governance in order to have balance in your life, in order for the scales to work themselves into right position. And the time is now. I wish you peace and blessings.